And for more on these recent developments, we're delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest for the afternoon, Her Excellency Ambassador Sou'ad Shalaby, the former assistant to the Foreign Minister. A very good afternoon to you, Madam Ambassador.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time. Now, let me start by asking you, ma'am, about the recent developments with the war now going into its second week. How do you see some of the recent developments with a new front opening in Lebanon and other U.S. interests in Gulf states targeted? More and more sites as well in Arab countries are being hit.
Well, of course, this war started without a strategy. It just started by launching the U.S. and Israel launching strikes and attacking the military and the military sites and the infrastructure, missile infrastructure in Iran, and the leadership in the capital of Iran, in Tehran, and across the country, hitting schools and civilian population infrastructure. And this made it a war that has not to stop quickly. It has to continue because Iran will never accept this targeting their leadership and targeting their civilians. Not only that they wanted to, Israel and U.S., they continue to target civilian sites. That means that Iran will continue to respond in different places, and especially in Lebanon, where the Hezbollah is attacking Israeli military and Israeli cities. So, of course, the Iranian response was to hit the United States bases in Arab countries, in the Gulf countries, and then on the 7th of March, they have Iranian state television showed that the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian had apologized to neighboring countries that these Gulf countries were attacked. And he said they do not intend to invade neighboring countries, and the main reason was to attack the drones and the missiles that they were attacking them.
Yes. That
is why it is important to know that this war is never going to end in a peaceful way, except if Israel stops to bomb and to target Palestinians and Lebanese civilians in the south of Lebanon, because it is going to be an all war in many places in the region, and it's going to continue to be a dangerous place for people to travel or for tourists to visit the region.
Indeed. Now, on the other hand, the U.S. President Donald Trump said yesterday that he's not interested in negotiating with Iran, and even raised the possibility that the Iran war would only end once Tehran no longer has a functioning military or any remaining leadership in power. How do you read this statement, Your Excellency?
Well, this is not acceptable. This is not in any way respect of international law or in the international humanitarian law, and each country has the right to have its own nuclear program as long as it's not attacking the neighbors. And if Iran and Iraq are not allowed to have nuclear program, why is Israel allowed to have a nuclear program? And it is important to alert the region that it is going to be very dangerous to use any nuclear um, uh, artifacts or military nuclear weapons, because it is going to be very dangerous for the population, because as you know, there are clusters of population, especially in the region where Syria and Lebanon and Palestine, where people are living in a disastrous situation,
Yes.
in camps. And if the nuclear weapons are used, then it is going to be doomsday for all these, for all the people, including Israelis.
Indeed. And on the other hand, for their part, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard said that their country's forces could continue fighting an intense war for up to 6 months even against the U.S. and Israel. How do you see this escalation, even with a war of words, so to speak, with the current economic and political station and stages for the region as a whole?
Yes, of course, it is very dangerous, but this is war. So war means that each side has to use the propaganda and try to make it more difficult for the other side. And the United States is backing Israel completely, 100%. That is why Iran is trying to make it difficult and closing the Strait of Hormuz for the ships and for the military bases in Gulf countries. They're trying to make it difficult for U.S. to continue the war, but it is the civilians who are actually are suffering, because 1,114 civilians had been killed and in Iran, and of course from Israel also, in Tel Aviv and in other places in Israel also it has been attacked. So the war will continue with each side trying to use the media in order to make it more difficult and to provoke more attacks on the other side.
Indeed, indeed. Madam Ambassador, now the Israelis on the other side have renewed their assault on southern Lebanon early Sunday, and they've targeted commanders of the Lebanese branch of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, known as Quds Force, and these developments are further worsening the situation in Lebanon. How do you see this attack on the other side?
Yes, Iran has described the U.S. and Israeli strikes as unprovoked, illegal, and illegitimate, and they are trying to target civilians, especially that they have killed more than 160 girls in a school in the early days of the war. So it is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard has targeted, said that it has targeted the Israeli government and military sites in Tel Aviv and has not attacked civilians. Iran has been accused of widening its attacks to include other targets, including shipping and civilian sites such as hotels in Dubai. It attacked really U.S. bases in Qatar, Bahrain, Jordan, and United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, in other, but this was a reaction to what has happened from the American and Israeli attack in the beginning.
Indeed. Now, Madam Ambassador, also a number of targeted attacks on ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz have occurred. How do you see the repercussions of this adding to the unrest, adding to the economic pressure with this very important waterway and the important global fuel transportation route that is now being closed or under attack?
Yes, of course, this is the escalation of war that is going to really include other countries in that who are benefiting from the trade and from the economic relations with Iran and with other countries in the region. So, closing of the Straits of Hormuz is going to affect energy and supplies to other countries, even Australia and Southeast Asia is depending on the oil and gas, which is exported from Iran to these countries. So
yes.
The closure of Strait of Hormuz is going to escalate the war to many countries will be affected, and it's going to extend the war, so that because they have to find other ways and means to get the energy supplies that they are in need of.
Yes. Now, finally, Madam Ambassador, let's talk about, the situation on the ground. As you said, schools are being attacked, loss of innocent civilian lives, and the bearing of the repercussions really falls to the citizens that are living in fear or terror and martyred as a result of this war. And specifically, we're talking about, of course, women and children. And today, of course, was March the 8th, marking International Women's Day. This comes at a critical time with the escalation of the war in the Middle East. How do you comment on the significance of such a day? How can it be used to protect the lives of innocents when it comes to these wars?
Well, as you know, that in all the wars, those who are suffering mostly from the wars are the women and children.
Yes.
And the number of women and children who have been displaced and have been suffering during since the 7th of October war and since the start of the Iranian war, the women are the most suffering from these wars, and they have the number of women is increasing by the day, because as you know, even now in International Women's Day today, we have to think of all the political achievements of women around the world, but instead we are highlighting the importance of women who are displaced, women who are in
war
camps,
zones,
and they are suffering because they don't have a place to live, and they are losing their husbands or their fathers or their brothers in the war. So how can we celebrate the International Women's Day when all the women in the region are suffering so much, especially in the countries that are that have the war going on?
Absolutely, Madam Ambassador. And I'm afraid we have run out of time. We'll leave it at that. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Your Excellency Ambassador Sou'ad Shalaby, former Assistant to the Foreign Minister. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time and your insight and for joining us this afternoon on Nile TV International. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more coming your way and the afternoon's edition of Panorama News at the top of the hour.